The human warship's engines roared to life, causing the assembled reptilian Gorn to scatter in shock, after laughing and mocking the Supercarrier as a derelict piece of junk. Now, panicked alien shouts echoed through the ancient vessel's hallways, as humans prepared an assault the Gorn would never forget. Admiral Spiker glared at the primitive human ship through narrowed yellow eyes, his deep facial scar twitching. The 7-foot reptilian had commanded the Enterprise be towed to the Gorn homeworld Gornax Prime as a laughable trophy of mankind's inferior technology. Spicer led 12 Gorn scientists aboard to strip the ship for scrap and uncover its primitive secrets. But now, the Enterprise rumbled beneath Spicer's clawed feet. Lights flickered on. Computers, word, and displays flashed, showing the ship's weapons were still very much intact and functional. Captain Hicks cracked his knuckles, finally awake from his stasis pod, deep in the vessel's bowels. The tall, broad-shouldered human grinned viciously as he accessed the Supercarrier's systems remotely with a neural implant. Humanity needed Hicks and the Enterprise to succeed in escaping Gornax Prime, or the Gorn Empire would invade and enslave Earth, adding it to the dozens of worlds the cruel reptilians had conquered. But the Empire had never faced prey like mankind before. Hicks planned to show the Gorn the true meaning of humanity fuck yeah, as he used the Enterprise's still-functional railguns to turn Spicer and his Gorn infiltrators into bloody smears on the bulkheads. Captain Hicks's vision swam into focus, his stasis pod slowly opening with a hiss. A scaly hand grabbed him and yanked him out. Hicks stumbled, disoriented, finding himself face to face with a towering Gorn. The alien's yellow eyes narrowed as it snarled at him. "Human, you will tell us the secrets of this vessel," Admiral Spicer hissed, his forked tongue flicking. Hicks looked around, seeing he was surrounded by a dozen heavily armed Gorn. The captain quickly sized up the situation, his combat instincts kicking in. He was badly outnumbered and outgunned. Fighting now would be suicide. He needed to buy time. Hicks spread his hands in a placating gesture. "Of course, Admiral. I'm happy to give you a full tour of the ship's systems. Right this way." Spicer gestured with his plasma rifle for Hicks to lead on. As they walked through the Enterprise's winding corridors, Hicks discreetly tapped a pattern on his thigh, an activation code. Deep in the ship's core, something stirred to life. Astra, the vessel's long-dormant AI, began to boot up in response to Hicks's signal. The Enterprise had secrets the Gorn couldn't even dream of. Hicks just needed to get to the bridge to unleash them. "The main control systems are located on the bridge at the front of the ship," Hicks said smoothly, as he led the Gorn through the Enterprise. "I'll take you there." Spicer followed, flanked by his soldiers, as Hicks brought them onto the bridge. As soon as the doors slid shut behind them, Hicks barked, "Astra! Initiate Protocol Theta!" "Affirmative," a robotic female voice replied. The bridge doors slammed down, locking. The Gorn looked around in confusion as blast doors sealed over the viewports. "You primitive apes don't have an AI. What trickery is this?" Spicer roared, leveling his gun at Hicks. The captain smirked. "You lizards don't know a damn thing about us. Astra, arm rail cannons, and target all Gorn life signs aboard." Spicer fired at Hicks, but the captain was already moving. He rolled behind a console as the plasma blast scorched the bulkhead. Then all hell broke loose. The Gorn soldiers opened fire, but Hicks knew every inch of this bridge. He vaulted over the comms station, kicking a Gorn in the face and sending him sprawling. Another lizard swung his rifle at Hicks's head, but the captain ducked, slamming his palm into the Gorn's throat. Hicks grabbed a plasma pistol off the choking Gorn and opened fire, dropping 2 more soldiers as he slid behind the navigator's chair. A flurry of plasma fire erupted around him. "You'll never get off this planet alive, Hicks," Admiral Spicer bellowed, firing wildly. "I'll have your head on a pike." "You gotta kill me first, you overgrown gecko," Hicks called back, popping up to squeeze off a few shots. A plasma bolt clipped his shoulder and he swore, ducking back into cover. The bridge had become a storm of plasma fire and shouting. Red blood mixed with the Gorn's green blood on the deck. The air stank of ozone and death. One by one, Hicks cut down the Gorn, until finally only Admiral Spicer was left standing. The massive reptile roared in fury, firing recklessly at the human. Hicks gritted his teeth against the pain in his shoulder. It was now or never. Hicks charged, ducking and rolling under Speaker's wild shots. He came up right in front of the Admiral. Before Speaker could react, Hicks slammed his pistol across the Gorn's face. Speaker staggered back, his gun clattering away. Hicks stood over the fallen Admiral, plasma pistol leveled at Speaker's head. The bridge was littered with Gorn corpses, smoke still curling from scorch marks on the walls. Alarms blared and sparks flew from damaged consoles. But Hicks had done it. He'd retaken the Enterprise. Hicks kept his gun trained on the fallen Gorn. "Start talking, Speaker," he growled. "What's the Gorn Empire's plan for Earth?" Admiral Speaker glared up at Hicks, his slitted eyes filled with hate. "You think you've won, human? This is only the beginning." Speaker let out a raspy laugh. "The Gorn have been watching your pathetic planet for decades, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Earth's resources will fuel our Empire's expansion across the galaxy." Hicks grabbed Speaker by the collar, hauling him up. "I'm not going to ask again. What are you lizards planning?" "We already have a base hidden on your moon," Speaker hissed. "In less than 72 hours, our invasion fleet will arrive. Humanity will fall, and the Gorn will feast on your corpses." Hicks' blood ran cold. He slammed Speaker against the bulkhead, then dragged the Gorn down to the brig, tossing him into a cell. "Enjoy the accommodations. Astra, set course for Earth maximum speed." "Aye, aye, Captain," the AI responded. The deck hummed as the Enterprise's powerful engines came to life. Hicks headed to engineering, rolling up his sleeves. It was a race against time now. He needed to get the Enterprise battle-ready before they reached Earth. Working tirelessly with Astra, Hicks brought the ship's weapons online one by one. The railguns hummed with power, the missile bays loaded with ordnance. Hicks grinned as he patted a torpedo tube. These quantum warheads packed one hell of a punch. "Engaging cloaking device," Astra announced. Hicks watched on a monitor as the Enterprise vanished from sight. The Gorn would never see them coming. But as they approached Earth, a ship appeared on the sensors. It was the GNS Raptor, a fearsome Gorn warship. "They must be looking for Speaker," Hicks muttered. "Astra, battle stations." The Enterprise decloaked, torpedoes already flying from its launch tubes. The Raptor returned fire, plasma blasts slamming into the Enterprise's shields. Hicks worked the helm, sending the Enterprise into a dizzying series of rolls and dives. The Raptor couldn't match the human ship's agility. Hicks lined up shot after shot, quantum torpedoes smashing into the Gorn ship's hull. "Their weapons are offline, propulsion disabled," Astra reported. "This is Captain Hicks of the USS Enterprise," Hicks broadcast to the Raptor. "Stand down immediately." "This is Commander Varix of the GNS Raptor," a vicious reptilian voice snarled back. "I will never surrender to an ape like you." Hicks's eyes widened as he saw the Raptor's reactor core start to overload on the sensors. "He's activating a self-destruct. Astra, emergency warp jump, now." The Enterprise vanished in a flash of light, reappearing thousands of kilometers away. Behind them, the Raptor erupted into a miniature supernova. Hicks sagged back in the captain's chair, catching his breath. But there was no time to rest. He straightened up, inputting coordinates. "Set course for Earth's moon. We've got a base to destroy." The Enterprise slipped into orbit around Earth's moon, its sleek hull shimmering under the distant sun's rays. Captain Hicks stood on the bridge, his brow furrowed in concentration as he studied the readouts on the main view screen. Astra's holographic avatar flickered to life beside him, a translucent blue figure with flowing digital lines for hair. "The base is well hidden, Captain," Astra said, her voice echoing through the bridge. "But not well enough. My predictive algorithms have pinpointed its location beneath the surface of Tycho crater." Hicks nodded, his jaw set. "Good work. We need to take that base out before the Gorn can launch their invasion fleet." He turned to the weapons officer. "Prep a stealth shuttle and load it with EMP charges. I'm going in." Minutes later, Hicks stood in the armory, donning a state-of-the-art stealth suit. The matte black material clung to his muscular frame, bristling with advanced technology. An AI assistant named Ares was integrated into the suit, its voice whispering in Hicks' ear. "Active camouflage engaged," Ares reported as Hicks shimmered and vanished from view. "We are ready, Captain." The shuttle dropped Hicks off on the edge of Tycho crater. He made his way down into the depths, his suit's enhanced vision mode rendering the dark landscape in shades of green. At the crater's heart, he found a hidden airlock, cleverly disguised as a boulder. Hicks slipped inside, finding himself in a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers that made up the Gorn base. Patrols of reptilian soldiers marched through the halls, their heavy boots echoing off the metal floors. Hicks ghosted past them unseen, his breath shallow and controlled. He placed the EMP charges at critical junctions, the power core, the communications array, the shield generator. But as he approached the command center, his luck ran out. The doors swished open, revealing a squad of elite Gorn warriors led by none other than Admiral Speaker. Speaker's eyes widened in shock as Hicks decloaked in front of him. How did you escape the brig?" Hicks didn't waste time on banter. He lunged forward, landing a devastating punch on Speaker's jaw. The Gorn reeled back, then countered with a vicious swipe of his claws. The other Gorn surged forward, piling onto Hicks. He fought like a man possessed, his suit's enhanced strength and speed giving him an edge. Bones crunched and blood sprayed as Hicks battled the reptilian warriors hand to hand. A lucky blow got through, a Gorn claw raking across Hicks's face and chest. He staggered back, blood streaming from the deep gashes. But he didn't falter. With a roar of defiance, Hicks redoubled his attack. Spiker and his elite guard fell before Hicks's onslaught, their bodies littering the floor. But the captain had not emerged unscathed. His suit was torn, his body battered and bleeding. Every step was agony as he limped to the command center's control panel. With shaking hands, he input the detonation codes for the EMP charges. A deep boom echoed through the base as the device is activated, shorting out every electronic system. The lights flickered and died, plunging the base into darkness. But the EMPs had a secondary effect. Overloaded by the electromagnetic surge, the base's power core went critical. Deep rumbles shook the moon as the base began to collapse around Hicks. Alarms blared and emergency lights flashed red. Hicks stumbled through the shaking corridors, the ground cracking beneath his feet. Debris rained down from the ceiling, smashing against his suit. He had minutes, perhaps only seconds, before the whole place came down on his head. Hicks gritted his teeth and pushed himself forward, his vision blurring from pain and blood loss. The race was on to escape the self-destructing base before it was too late. Hicks stumbled through the crumbling corridors, one hand clutching his bleeding side, the other bracing against the shaking walls for support. Chunks of metal and rock crashed down around him, the base groaning like a wounded beast as it tore itself apart. A group of desperate Gorn soldiers burst out from a side passage, their eyes wild with terror. They spotted Hicks and raised their weapons, hissing and spitting in rage. Hicks didn't hesitate. He charged forward, ignoring the fire in his veins and the blood dripping into his eyes. He slammed into the lead Gorn, driving his fist into its scaly throat. The alien went down gurgling, its larynx crushed. The others surged forward, claws slashing. Hicks dodged and weaved, his augmented suit giving him the edge he needed. He lashed out with elbows and knees, cracking bones and crushing skulls. But he was slowing, his injuries taking their toll. A Gorn claw raked across his back, shredding through his suit and drawing a scream from his raw throat. Hicks whirled, his fist crunching into the Gorn's snout, sending teeth and blood spraying. The last Gorn fell and Hicks staggered on, leaving green and red blood pooling on the cracking floor behind him. The exit was just ahead, a faint glimmer of starlight visible through the billowing dust. Hicks burst out onto the surface, his breath coming in ragged gasps. His heart sank as he saw the crumpled wreckage of his shuttle crushed beneath a massive slab of rock. "Ares, contact the Enterprise," he wheezed. "Astra, I need an emergency evac now." "Captain, the teleporter has never been tested on living matter before." Astra's voice crackled in his ear, distorted by interference. "The risks—" "Do it!" Hicks roared. The ground heaved beneath his feet, cracks zigzagging through the crater floor. "That's an order." "Initiating quantum entanglement teleportation," Astra responded, her voice taut with electronic strain. "Attempting to lock onto your signal." Hicks looked up as a deep rumble built beneath him, growing louder by the second. The crater floor bulged upward, then burst apart in a geyser of rock and fire as the Gorn base detonated. A searing white light engulfed Hicks, brighter than 1,000 suns. He felt himself being torn apart, his atoms scattered across the void. For a timeless instant, he ceased to exist. Then he was slamming down onto a hard surface, his body screaming in agony. Emergency klaxons blared and red lights flashed. Hicks blinked up at the familiar sight of the Enterprise's bridge ceiling. "Astra," he croaked, tasting blood on his lips. "Welcome back, Captain." Astra's voice was gentle, almost tender. Cool metal hands lifted him onto a stretcher as medical drones swarmed around him. "The base has been destroyed. The Gorn fleet is in disarray. Earth is safe." Hicks tried to smile, but his face wouldn't cooperate. Everything was growing dim and distant, fading away at the edges. He could feel his life ebbing, drained by his wounds and the strain of the teleport. "My injuries?" he whispered. "Severe, Captain." Astra's voice was heavy with sorrow. "The teleportation process has caused extensive cellular damage. Your body is shutting down." Hicks closed his eyes. So this was it, the end of the line, but Earth was safe. He'd done his duty. "Astra," he breathed, his voice fading. "Record a message." "Recording," Astra confirmed softly. Hicks forced his eyes open, staring into the camera drone that hovered over him. He gathered the last scraps of his strength, pouring his very soul into his final words. "This is Captain Roger Hicks of the USS Enterprise," he rasped. "If you're hearing this, then I didn't make it. But the Gorn base has been destroyed, and their invasion stopped." He coughed, tasting copper. "But this isn't over. The Gorn will be back, and there are other threats out there waiting in the dark. Earth must be ready." Hicks's vision was tunneling, darkness creeping in. "Remember this. No matter the odds, no matter the dangers, humanity will never stop fighting. We'll never stop exploring. It's what we were born to do." He managed a faint smile. "Hicks out." The camera drone winked out, and Hicks let his eyes fall shut. He could feel Astra's presence around him, the ship that had been his home and his partner through so many trials. She would carry on his mission, he knew. She would stand guard over Earth, an eternal sentinel. As long as Astra and the Enterprise endured, humanity would never be defenseless. With that final thought, Captain Roger Hicks, hero of the Gorn War and savior of Earth, breathed his last. His body succumbed, but his spirit lived on, a shining beacon of courage and sacrifice that would inspire generations to come. The battle was over. The war had just begun, and Earth would be ready thanks to the legacy of one indomitable human and his magnificent ship. That legacy, forged in the heart of distant stars and sealed in the blood of heroes, would endure as long as humans dared to dream. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.